Hello, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Sonia's Real Estate Connection and Hot Topics, all things real estate on this channel. So glad that you could join with me on today. Folks, we have a super hot and exciting show for you today because today we are talking about the money. We're talking about the money. That's right. Show me the money. We're talking about the big shakeup in the real estate industry concerning commission and offers of compensation for real estate brokers and agents. Who's going to pay the commissions? How much will they get paid? How much will the agents and brokers get paid? Will it go down? Will it go up? Will it stay flat? Will it all end the world of real estate as we know it? The world of how agents and brokers make their commission, how they earn their pay, offers of compensation. Is it all coming to an end as we currently know it? What changes are heading down the pike in terms of commission structure? Who has to pay? Sellers, buyers? Folks, we have a lot to talk about, so let's dive right in. All right, folks, let's get right into it. On March 15th, 2024, the National Association of Realtors, otherwise referred to as NAR, announced a proposed settlement agreement with the class action lawsuit regarding claims against NAR related to real estate broker commissions. In a statement released by NAR and published on their website, NAR released the following statements, and I'll read a few paragraphs from the statement as it is several paragraphs long, 10 to be exact, and so I'll read a few of those paragraphs and highlight some of the key points. And this was taken from the NAR Realtor website at nar.realtor /newsroom NAR reaches agreement to resolve nationwide claims brought by home sellers. All right, so here it is. The National Association of Realtors announced on March 15, 2024, an agreement that would end all litigation of claims brought on behalf of home sellers related to broker commissions. The agreement would resolve claims against NAR, over 1 million NAR members, all state, territorial, and local realtor associations, all association-owned MLSs, and all brokerages with an NAR member as principal that had a residential transaction volume in 2022 of $2 billion or below. The settlement, which is subject to court approval, makes clear that NAR continues to deny any wrongdoing in connection with the Multiple Listing Service MLS Cooperative Compensation Model Rule, MLS Model Rule, that was introduced in the 1990s in response to calls from consumer protection advocates for buyer representation. Under the terms of the agreement, NAR would pay $418 million over approximately 4 years. Quote, NAR has worked hard for years to resolve this litigation in a manner that benefits our members and American consumers. It has always been our goal to preserve consumer choice and protect our members to the greatest extent possible. This settlement achieves both of those goals, quote, said Nakia Wright, interim CEO of NAR. The article goes on to say, quote, in addition to the financial payment, NAR has agreed to put in place a new MLS rule prohibiting offers of broker compensation on the MLS. This would mean that offers of broker compensation could not be communicated via the MLS, but they could continue to be an option consumers can pursue off MLS through negotiation and consultation with real estate professionals, end quote. And finally, the last paragraph reads as follows, quote, NAR exists to serve our members and American consumers, and while the settlement comes at a significant cost, we believe the benefits it will provide to our industry are worth that cost, quote, said Kevin Sears, NAR president. Quote, NAR is focused firmly on the future and on leading this industry forward. We are committed to innovation and defining the next steps that will allow us to continue providing unmatched value to members and American consumers. This will be a time of adjustment, but the fundamentals will remain. Buyers and sellers will continue to have many choices when deciding to buy or sell a home, and NAR members will continue to use their skill, care, and diligence to protect the interests of their clients. End quote. And again, this was taken from the NAR Realtor website. This can be found at the NAR Realtor website. You can type in nar.realtor, or you can go to nar.realtor/newsroom/NAR reaches agreement to resolve nationwide claims brought by home sellers. Again, from the NAR, National Association of Realtors website, nar.realtor. So this is what all the hoopla is about. This has been the big shakeup in the real estate industry as of March 2024. Big shakeup in the real estate industry, not so much for Wisconsin, for the state of Wisconsin. And I'll tell you why in a little bit, but this has been a big shakeup in our real estate industry. Now, this issue of compensation and commission has stirred up our real estate industry for quite some time. The Sitzer-Burnett lawsuit has been an ongoing class action lawsuit for quite some time, and so this proposed settlement agreement was finally reached and posted. So it still has to go to court for final court approval. It has not been filed as of yet, but it is a proposed settlement agreement that is expected to be filed sometime in July, or expected to go to court sometime in July. And if the court approves the settlement, then it would go to the final stages sometime by the end of the year, possibly in December. Now, I wanted to bring up another article that I read through the Inman News article. So they quoted the NAR president, Kevin Sears, in their article as follows, and this is from Inman News, inman.com. Quote, "We have always wanted to reduce the significant strain on our members and provide a path forward to the industry," end quote. NAR president Kevin Sears said in an email to members Friday morning. Quote, "That's why today we announced a proposed settlement agreement that would end litigation of claims brought on behalf of home sellers related to broker commissions. The settlement is subject to court approval," end quote. In the Inman News article, they stated that this was an email that was sent to the NAR members on Friday morning. That was March 15th from NAR President Kevin Sears. Now, NAR, which again stands for the National Association of Realtors, is over 1 million members strong. It's about 1.5 million members, and it is touted as the largest trade organization in the U.S. One of the things I found interesting in the Inman article is that they said that NAR didn't say if member dues would be increased to pay for the damages. But they did say that the 2024 dues wouldn't change because most members have already paid their 2024 dues, myself included. So because we usually receive our annual due statements in September or October for the following year, we would have already gotten our realtor due statements in October of 2023 for the 2024 annual dues period, of which most of us have already paid, or these dues have already been paid for the current year. And the due structure and statements were already sent out at least 3 to 4 months prior, before they became due at the end of December or by December 31st or January 1st. So there wouldn't be any changes to the current 2024 dues statements. However, they didn't give any indication if anything is going to change for the 2025 annual dues statements. But I suspect we will know more towards the fourth quarter of this year, if not sooner, concerning what that realtor dues structure will look like for 2025 and beyond. The other note that was mentioned in the Inman article, and I also heard it echoed in the NAR article, was that NAR did agree to establish new MLS rules across the board that would affect how offers of compensation would be listed in MLS. And this is supposed to be implemented sometime in July. So this is from the Inman article. Quote, "Offers of compensation could continue to be an option. Consumers can pursue off MLS through negotiation and consultation with real estate professionals," end quote, NAR said. So basically, buyer agents and buyer brokers could negotiate with buyers for compensation outside of the MLS, as there would be no offer of compensation listed in MLS once this ruling takes place or once it is approved in the courts. So, what does that mean? Well, there will be no offers of compensation in MLS, no commission stated in MLS, right? So that little box that we check in MLS that indicates how much commission is being offered to co-brokes, to buyer agent, to sub-agents, how the commission will be, or how much the commission is, those boxes and those data fields will go away. They will no longer be listed or advertised in MLS. Okay, so that means that buyer agents, you probably want to get those signed buyer agency agreements in place before you start showing properties, before you show properties. And it has to be stipulated in the buyer agency agreement how much the compensation amount will be. It has to say who's going to pay the buyer agent's fee and how much that fee will be or that compensation will be. So we'll probably no longer say that, buyer commission will be paid by the seller at closing. We used to put that verbiage in the buyer agency agreement, but we won't be able to put that in there anymore if the seller isn't offering any commission or if it's not going to be advertised in MLS. So we can't put that in there anymore if the seller isn't offering any commission or if the listing agent isn't advertising any buyer agent, sub-agent, or co-broke commission in MLS. So now, guess what? The buyers are going to be responsible for paying their agents? Yeah, no? Yeah, the buyers are now responsible for paying their agents if the sellers aren't offering that as compensation. So the buyers have to pay their agent commissions if the sellers aren't offering a commission for the buyer side of the transaction. And it won't be advertised in MLS. It can no longer be advertised or stated in MLS, which stands for the Multiple Listing Service. Now, some people are speculating that this could have an adverse effect on some first-time buyers who can barely afford the down payment and the closing cost. And now they're going to be asked to pay their agent commission fees, anywhere from 2 to 3%. Some of them may not be able to afford this. They may not be able to afford to hire an agent. Right? We don't know. The ripple effects of this could be ongoing for a long time, or we could see some creative solutions to help offset this additional cost for buyers that buyers might have to absorb on the closing statements going forward. According to the Inman article, NAR had contemplated filing bankruptcy, but they decided against it because that would have put everything on hold, and there was a growing list of plaintiffs in the class action lawsuit, so they decided it was the best thing to do for their members and for the consumers. And so there were a lot of plaintiffs who said that NAR was accused of an illegal conspiracy to inflate commissions and keep them high. This was from the Inman article. Now, if I may pause for a brief second and just add my 2 cents. I don't think there was a conspiracy to inflate commissions. I don't see where that came from. I don't know where that came from. The commission rates have always been around 5 to 6% here. Nothing has changed here in Wisconsin since I've been practicing real estate, since I've been a real estate practitioner. It has always been that way. It's always, been negotiable. It's always up to the agent or the broker as to whether they want to accept a lower commission or a lower percentage or a flat fee commission. Or even agree to the compensation amount in the listing contract with the seller. That has always been negotiable. I even tell my agents, you can negotiate whatever commission amount you want. It's up to you and your client. That's always been negotiable. A lot of sellers will even ask, what is your commission? And many agents and brokers, give the standard response that on the residential side, for residential, the rate is typically 6%. Out of which 3.6% goes to the listing broker and 2.4% is offered to the buyer agent. On commercial transactions, it is typically 7% or minimum 7%, 7 to 10%, with a 4-3 split, so 4% to the listing agent, 3% to the buyer agent, or some other split whatever is negotiated or agreed to. And these rates can vary. And once again, they are negotiable. Sometimes we even have 5% residential commission. And it's split 50-50, where each side gets 2.5%. I remember back in the day when I was doing a lot of foreclosure listings, those listing contracts came straight from the banks. They came straight from the REO sellers, and those were 5%. So we just split it 2.5 each side. We offered 2.5% to the buyer broker, and as a listing broker, we kept the 2.5% on our side. Or sometimes it's a 3 and 2 split. 3% listing agent, 2% buyer agent, or whatever is agreed to and negotiated. I've seen it as low as 4%. 4% commission, with each side getting 2% in a residential transaction. I've done 4% listings with each side getting 2%, where I would list, an offer of compensation of 2% to the buyer agent or sub agent, and the listing side would get 2%. So these numbers have always been up for negotiations. I've seen it again. I've done 4% listings where, 2% is offered to the other side. And sometimes we have sellers with multiple properties. And if you have a seller client with multiple properties, they want to negotiate a lower commission. They don't want to pay 6%, 5%. And we've negotiated that. Or we've negotiated where if there's only one agent involved, then we'll negotiate an even lower commission because they're not having to pay for a buyer's agent or another agent, sub-agent. So these numbers have always been negotiable. That hasn't changed in Wisconsin. And so, mind you, Wisconsin has a history of being a pro-consumer state. And so we've always had these policies and practices in place. This is nothing new to us Wisconsinites because we've always had this in place. I don't know where this idea came from, or I don't know if it's conspiracies. The article mentioned, the Inman article said it was a conspiracy. I don't know where it came from. If it's something that's kind of just always been out there, it kind of, I was reminded of this turkey story. And I'll tell you this real briefly, but it just reminded me of this turkey story. So I'm not sure if you heard this. You may have heard it, maybe not. But anyway, here it goes. So there was a young wife who was preparing Thanksgiving dinner for her family, and she was preparing the turkey to put it into the roasting pan, and she was cutting off the ends of it. She would cut off the legs and cut the ends off of it before putting it in the roasting pan. And her husband asked her, hey, why are you doing that? Why do you cut the ends off like that? And she replied to him, well, that's something my mom always did. My mother always did it, and so I just always do it because my mom always did it. And so that kind of aroused her curiosity, and so she went back to her mom and she asked her mom, "Hey, Mom, when I was a kid and you were making Thanksgiving dinner, you always cut the legs off and cut the ends off of the turkey before putting it in a turkey pan. Why did you do that?" And so her mom replied, "Oh, well, your grandma always did it that way. So, it's just the way we always do it because your grandma always did it." So here you have two generations. You have the daughter and the mom. They're both cutting off the ends of the turkey, because they don't even know why, because the other person's always done it. The daughter always saw her mom doing it, and then her mom always saw her mom doing it, which is the grandmother. So neither one of them knew why. They just knew that this is how it's always been done, right? So then the mom went back and asked her mother, which is the grandmother, and she asked her mom, hey, she went back to her mom and said, "Hey, Mom, why did you always cut the ends off of the turkey before putting it in a roasting pan?" And guess what her mom said? "Well, that's because I didn't have enough room. I had to make room to put it in the pan. It wouldn't fit." Can you believe that? She said it wouldn't fit in the pan, so she had to cut the ends off. Isn't that something? So now you have three generations of people that are that were cutting the turkey off cutting the ends off of the turkey. They didn't even know why they were doing it. They were just doing it because, it's always been done that way. The daughter did it because she always saw her mom doing it. The mom did it because she always saw the grandma doing it. So she finally went back to the source, and the grandma said she simply didn't have enough room in the roasting pan, so that's why she did it. So that's funny. I just thought I'd share that with you. So it answered the why, the reason why they were doing it. So it just kind of reminded me that sometimes we do things and we don't know why. We just do them because they're tradition, because, it's always been done that way. You might have certain customs and practices in your family that have been passed down from generation to generation. You don't even know why you do it. You just know, mom's always done it this way, dad's always done it this way, and my grandma, my great grandma, and you don't even know why. You're just doing it because it's always been done that way. Sometimes it matters to question things. Well, why is it done? Why are we doing this? So that just kind of reminded me of the turkey story. So thought I would just share that with you. Anyhow, getting back to the story at hand, I have digressed. Let's get back to the story at hand. So we're talking about this NAR settlement that's shaking up the real estate industry, right? And I think that it will be interesting to see how this actually pans out after July and what the real estate market will look like end of third and fourth quarter with this new settlement that's being proposed that will be filed again sometime in July. And if the court approves it, then it'll go to the final stages of being implemented and to become new rule, new law end of the year sometime in December. That's the current predictions. Now, there are some predictions that commissions will go down, that the buyers, some buyers will exit the purchase market, and we may see a lot of realtors exit the real estate market as well. Or we could actually see a drop in realtor renewals come the end of the year when the new annual dues statements are issued. We don't know. All of this is yet to be seen. And, I'll certainly keep an eye out and continue to keep my finger on the pulse to keep you posted and updated. Now, I do want to mention before I sign off here today, as far as the commercial transactions are concerned, with respect to commercial real estate, this proposed settlement is geared more towards the residential side of transactions as it relates to home sellers and home buyers. So many real estate practitioners in the commercial markets won't be as affected or may not see a direct impact in the commercial markets. And again, in the great state of Wisconsin, we already have these practices in place, as well as similar language that is already listed in our real estate forms and contracts. So it should be no big surprise other than the fact that the offer of compensation and commission offerings will be removed from the MLS. And there will be some obvious external changes within various real estate companies as far as how they practice and implement the new changes in their company policy and procedures. That's all I have for you today on this very hot topic regarding the commission lawsuit and the NAR proposed settlement with respect to the National Association of Realtors and Sitzer Burnett case. That concludes the discussion for today. I hope that you enjoyed the information, and I trust that you found this to be useful and valuable. As always, I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sonia's Real Estate Connection and Hot Topics. And this was a very, very hot topic, and I suspect we're not done with it yet. So thanks so much for tuning in and listening. We'll keep you posted until we meet again. Make it a great day, and may you always be safe, healthy, and be well. God bless.